Welcome everyone to Unlocking Your Finale Dashboard, unlocking your Finale data for business intelligence dashboards and beyond. I'm very excited to be here speaking to you this afternoon. If it is your first time joining one of our webinars, I'm extending a very special welcome to you. And if you have joined us before, thank you very much for your support and for being here again today. My name is Sony, and my finale journey actually started off in 2022, where I was in a similar seat to many of you here today, as I had helped implement Finale for the business that I worked for previously and rolled out the software for our employees to use. I officially joined up with the team in 2024 and can tell you that life on the other side has been incredibly rewarding so far. I primarily now work with new customers and getting them onboarded onto the software, but I also spend time on our service desk. And so if my name looks familiar at all, chances are we have corresponded over a ticket or over email. And so hopefully this, puts a nice face to the name. We also have John McCoy, one of our senior operations team members and resident data expert on the presentation here with us. If you have any questions on at any point during the presentation, please feel free to drop them into that Zoom chat, and John and I will be taking them at the end of the presentation. On the agenda for today, we will be starting off strong and reviewing a snapshot of a dashboard that has been powered by an export from Finale Inventory. We will be taking a look at the configurations that are available to you when it comes to adding that Google Drive integration to your Finale inventory account, along with a demo on how to actually export out of our software up into Google Drive. We will take a little look at report customization, which is my favorite of all of Finale's features, and I will share a couple of tips and tricks that you can add to your own toolboxes. And then again, any questions that come up during the presentation, we'll go ahead and address them at the end. If there's one key message that I can leave you all with today from this session, please let it be this, okay? Truly, at the end of the day, the possibilities are endless in what you can create using a Google Sheet as a medium. I want all of you to think of Finale's reports and exports like a means to get you to an end goal. If you've ever found yourself thinking something along the lines of like, I really wish I could get this piece of information sent out to Finale to my website, but the system isn't able to do that. I'm here to tell you that, hey, you can facilitate that line of communication using a Google Sheet. And so, for example, we have a customer right now who is sending out their average cost that Finale is calculating up to Shopify using an export from our system that is plugged into Zapier. If you're not familiar with Zapier, it is a workflow automation tool that serves the purpose of connecting apps and softwares that don't speak to each other by default. And so, this is a very creative way to be able to take advantage of the wealth of information that you've got collecting in Finale and to be able to action it. And so, ultimately, any tool that can be fed a spreadsheet is going to be fair game here in terms of compatibility and in terms of use. One aspect of Finale that our team very much prides ourselves on is that we do not gatekeep your data. We do not limit your access to any reports or to exports. If you are on a starter account with us or if you're on a platinum account, your reporting and analytics access from the software is exactly the same. Okay, you are welcome to do what you please with your data. Alrighty, so let's get into it. We're going to look at a overview of a dashboard for the next few minutes and ultimately focus on what you can achieve when you are exporting your data out of Finale to Google Sheets and then feeding it into a tool like Looker Studio, for instance, that can help you visualize and analyze your data. Alrighty. So what we've got here As you can see, this is a snapshot here of a sales breakdown for a business that sells different types of food items. And so, what we're looking at here, again, this dashboard at a high level, it feels clean, it feels very visually appealing. And we actually also, if you take a look at the left corner here, we've got some calculations that are happening as well. And so overall, what this is telling us is that this business, just like any other type of product-based business, wants to have insights that are based on their customer spend across different categories. And in other words, that is information that has been collecting in their Finale inventory accounts. Okay. Now, I want you to imagine that you're an employee of this business, okay? And just like clockwork, it's, end of the month and your boss is knocking at your door and asking you, hey, have your dairy sales dropped this month over last? And if so, by how much? You always have the option, of course, to answer that question by popping right into Finale and generating a sales report, okay, to get your boss that answer. So maybe you run something like this, a PDF report out of the system that I'm sure you're all familiar with, or maybe you're running that report to Excel and you're going to go ahead and add in your own calculations to get that information. Either method that you're using is going to get you there. Again, your reports are going to look a little something like this. But if we are to compare and contrast for just a moment, and we bring it back here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think there is a clear winner in terms of what is more fun to be able to work with, but also to see what is able to give you that answer faster. Okay, so this dashboard that we're looking at, this is built on exactly the same information as, if I were to go back, this report here contains. So these two things are one in the same, okay? And so, really, what you are accomplishing here by using a tool to analyze and visualize your data is that you're able to cut through the noise to get the information that you need faster. And as a bonus, being able to visualize your data is certainly a lot easier to digest. So, again, really what you're seeing is that using your Finale reports to feed into a dashboard will allow you to leverage information that's been collecting in our system to derive insights for your business. You can build calculations into these dashboards that you otherwise couldn't get if you were just using the base reports from Finale and leaving it at that. And then of course, it's ultimately going to save you time when it comes to answering questions that are repeatedly asked from week to week or month to month, whatever it may be. And again, if your boss is coming up to you, knocking on your door, asking you for your that insight on your dairy sales, you do have that option of just generating a report from Finale and getting that information ad hoc. But we want you to know that you are limited to that not being your only solution. You can refer to a tool like Looker or Power BI, Tableau, whatever your tool is of choice to take your reports and help make them more meaningful. Okay, getting your data from Finale into a dashboard and beyond really is going to come down to three main steps. So now that you've seen that snapshot, I'm going to show you exactly how we got there following the path of Finale inventory to Google Sheets to Looker Studio. And all of this is coming down really to three main steps. And if you are wondering, or if you are a little skeptical at this being so easy, I'm going to show you that really it is, okay? So step one is going to be to generate your source data from Finale inventory. Step two is going to be extract it. And what that looks like is scheduling a report export to automatically run up to Sheets, taking your hands out of it. And then step three is going to be to utilize that sheet. And what that looks like is, again, just connecting your tool of choice to be fed that spreadsheet. And then you are off to the races. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit further here. Step one being to generate your data. And so when you are going and exporting information from Finale to Google Drive, to Google Sheets, it is going to be in the format of a report. You can use the pre-built reports that exist in Finale. You also have the option to use the master data reports that are pre-built into Finale. So you're not limited in utilizing only a formal report. If you want to have like just a big compilation of information exported out of the system, you absolutely can do so. And that is the exact purpose that those master data reports will serve. And then, of course, you also have that option to create completely customized reports to work with if you wish. One thing that is going to be very, very important, and we are going to come back to this, which is going to be that when you are choosing a report to ultimately work with, and if you are going to be plugging it into a third party tool, the number one tip that we're going to leave you with is that the grouping on that report must be disabled. And so, what that means is that you're going to allow um, the maximum amount of information to actually be exported out and included on that report. And so, for example, what you're looking at in this screenshot here, if you take a look at column B, you're going to see that you've got the same order ID that is like cascading down. It's entered in from like line to line to line. That's ultimately what you want so that the tool that you're working with can understand that all of this information is connected together. Okay. So remember this disabling grouping. We're going to come back to this when we do a little bit of a demonstration. Okay. Step two is going to be to extract your data out of Finale. So when that Google Drive integration is configured, what you're going to see is that there are tasks that you will create, and that is exactly how the integration runs. And so each report to export that you're sending out becomes a task. So those two things go hand in hand. You'll have one task per report that you're sending up, but you absolutely can have multiple reports that are being sent out. And you can even go so far as to schedule them all in for different run times. So, for example, here you can see that on my drive, I've got a customer master list that's going on every 15th day of the month out of Finale up to Google Sheets. And I've got another report that's running every Thursday, and then a sales report that's running about every 2 hours. And so, if you're wondering whether these reports that are being sent out are essentially updating with new information, they absolutely, absolutely are. So, when you have gone so far as to schedule a report to run to Google Sheets, each subsequent run is going to contain new information and more information. So again, very hands off once it's scheduled in. You don't have to worry about, coming in next month and making sure it's up to date. That's already happening for you. You don't have to do anything else in that regard. When you are sending exports up to Google Drive from Finale Inventory, you have the option to either send a file to just be like generally held loose in Drive, or if you like to keep things organized, you can also send them directly into a specific folder. And so, same thing, each subsequent run of that report is either going to be sent out um, and updating your file as it is, or it's going to be updating that file that's held in the folder. And these preferences can be set per report. So if you want some reports going to one folder and some reports going to another folder, you have the ability to do all of that. Okay, it's all going to be, it's not going to be, universal. You have to pick one. Okay, step three is going to be to go ahead and utilize your data. And so, again, what that looks like is just opening up your tool of choice, whatever it may be, looking for that option that is prompting you to enter in or to choose a data source. And then from there, you're selecting. Google Sheets, you're picking the file that corresponds to your report, and there you go. You're good to go. Okay, so now we're going to bring it all together and switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to jump into my Finale inventory account and then just show you, how to do this all in real time. Okay, so here we are in Finale. I'm going to go ahead and just navigate to the integrations page here. scroll to the bottom and we've got a Google Drive integration ready to go and it needs to be set up. And so what we're going to do is just go ahead and jump right in and I'll show you the different configurations that are here. You, of course, have the ability to rename the integration just as you do with any others. If you are connecting or wanting to have reports that are sent out to multiple uh, Google Drive accounts, you can do that. Just know that you would need to have a unique integration on your account. So, one Google Drive integration corresponds to one Google Drive account. You can have multiple if you need to, but of course, you always have the option of just sharing files within Google Drive. When it comes to creating the different tasks and exports that run, all you're going to do is come in here and click on this button where it says Add Report Task. And you're going to see we've got one pop up. It just says Run Report and Upload to Google Drive. We're going to go ahead and actually edit that up. Okay. First things first, right off the bat, you have the ability to set how often you want this task to run. And so if I click in here, you're going to see that we've got a frequency time as quick as every 15 minutes for updates to be sent out from Finale to Google Sheets. And then going down the list, you have shorter time or no, longer time intervals ranging up to about the 15th of every month. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and set it to manual so that we can run it right away and then show you how it looks. Okay. The next setting that you have available to you to use here is to set the label. And so what this means is you are now naming the task that you are running up to Google Sheets. And so this is just to give you visibility on the integration. So I'm going to go ahead and let's call this uh, Sony's sales reporting. And then when we pop back into the integrations page, you'll be able to see what it looks like. The next prompt that you're going to have available to you is, of course, to select the report that you want to go ahead and send out from Finale to Google Drive. If you have custom reports that you've built within Finale, they are going to be popping up here on this list as well. So you've got everything. It's all alphabetized so that you can navigate this list a little bit easier. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and let's take our let's go with our sales order summary, okay? And so up until now, we've talked a lot about like Google Sheets, spreadsheets, but if you see here, you have the option of selecting which format you actually want this report to be sent out in. And so if you do want to have a PDF sent out from Finale to Google Drive, you absolutely can do so. Same thing if you want like a CSV, you absolutely can do that as well. Of course, for this example, I'm going to go ahead and run with just a Google Sheet. And the last thing that you have available to you to set is the Google Drive path name. Okay. And so this is going to be a little bit important. So, what this means is that you are now selecting where this data is going in terms of the file that is sent out to Google Drive. And so, whatever you type into this space here ultimately becomes the name of the file. So, let me go ahead and do Sony's sales report. We're going to go ahead and leave it at that. And then the last toggle that you're going to see here where it says select file name option, this has to do with the action that is happening on Drive for each subsequent run of the report. So if you want to keep everything like locked into just one report that is continually getting updated with new information, leaving it here at overwrite file is going to be the best way to go. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to save that up, pop back into the integration, and we are going to go ahead and hover here and give this a run. And it takes about 5 seconds or so. We'll give that just a moment there. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop into Google Drive And there it is. Our sales report is right here. Perfect. It's ready to be used. And now let's take it one step further. Pop right into Looker Studio here. I'm going to go ahead and just open up a like blank report. What you're going to be seeing here is that right off the bat, we're prompted to go ahead and connect the data. And all we're going to do here is go ahead, select Google Sheets, and there we go. There's our sales report. We're going to go ahead and add it in. And right from there, step 1 to 3 is complete, and you are ready to just go ahead and start building and start creating. Okay. If we take a look at the side panel here under where it says data, you're going to see that we've got a number of different variables that are popping up. If we take a peek at this report that we've got sent over from Sheets, you're going to see here that these are actually the data points that you are seeing on Looker right here are actually just being pulled from the column headers here on the report. So again, super easy to just identify the pieces of information that you want to go ahead and work with. And it really is, again, just as easy as going in here. I'm going to just, let's select maybe like a pie chart, a little bit fun to work with. Make this a little bit bigger so that all of you can see. And again, just going in and choosing the information that you want to work with. And then just like that, now we have a visual representation here of each of the customers that I'm selling to and what percentage of revenue of our business that they are accounting for. So again, step 1 to 3, super easy in terms of being able to take your data out of Google Sheets and then make it, out of Finale inventory into Sheets and then make it usable. So we'll go ahead and just recap those steps that we looked at here again, just to really kind of nail this information down, which is that when you are going into Finale inventory and you are setting up that Google Drive integration, you want to remember that your exports are going to be sent out to whichever Google Drive account is authenticated when you establish that connection to Finale inventory. When you are exporting your reports out of Finale, they go in the form of a report task. You'll have one report that is tied to each task, and you can have multiple report tasks running at different scheduled times, whatever works best for you and how you see fit. When it comes to actually setting up those exports, you'll have the ability to choose the scheduling option and how frequently you want those reports to run up from Finale to Google Drive. And again, each subsequent run is going to contain updated information. So once you've got that scheduling in place, your hands are off. That update is being sent out from our system to Drive automatically. When you change the label itself here, you are changing the name of the report task so you have it visually easy to reference when you are looking at the Google Drive integration in Finale. You're going to go ahead and select the report that you want sent out. You are going to select the format of that report that you want sent out. So, of course, easiest one to pick from there, Google Sheets, to be able to jump right into editing. And then when it comes to specifying the path name or where you want that report to be sent out to, that specifically is going to refer to the name of the file. Okay, so if you go ahead and you just type in a file name just right into the field there, you're going to see that pop up on the Google Drive side, just like that generally held file in your drive. If you want your file to be sent out to a particular folder, you do have the option to do that as well. And so the difference there and what that looks like is if you pop into a folder in Google Drive, you are going to see that in your the URL bar on your browser, you're going to have a big like string. It's going to be like numbers and letters, maybe some underscores and things like that. That string refers to the folder that you have in Drive. And so you can go ahead and just copy and paste that right into your integration setup. And when you do that, you are going to be sending your file to be updated exactly in that folder. Every subsequent run, your file is being updated, still contained in that folder. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now, again, we're going to switch gears a little bit more. We are going to go ahead and do another example here, a little bit more advanced, where we're going to go ahead and open up a report. We're going to look at some of the customizations here, and then again, send that report out from Finale inventory back up to Google Sheets. Okay, just one moment, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in from the reports menu here and into purchase and sales. When you are working on report customizations within Finale, as a general rule of thumb and just like a best practice overall, starting with the report that is closest to what you're wanting to see is going to be the best course of action. And what you're going to do from there, we're going to open it up. We're going to do, let's say this one here, sales order with detail. You're going to go ahead and click the little actions menu that pops up on the top right and opt to customize. But first step that you're going to take is to, again, hit that actions menu and actually go ahead and just make a duplicate of the report. And so what that does is allow you to make your modifications and customizations into like a secondary report, and then you're leaving that original one intact so that someone else can use it, or so that you have it still, again, intact for reference. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to say custom, and we'll just call it Sony's sales reports, sales report for June 2025. Perfect. Alrighty, cool. So then we're still into the report configuration here, and now we're in the duplicated version. So that original one is gone, still in its own world. We're good there. When you are working with reports in Finale, you will find that each report is tied to what is called a data set. And a data set is like a big bucket of information that has been collected by the system and organized. And that is where all of the like base information that you're pulling onto your report will live. For this report in particular, you're going to see that the data set is orders with item detail. If I am to hit this and drop down and look at the other options that are available, I'm going to see something like this, where there's actually an orders data set, but we're working in orders with item detail. And so the distinction to make with any of the data sets that say item detail on them is that these ones are going to contain more granular information. And so if you need to look at, say, the line items that are on an order and look at like the SKU or a category or like a price or anything that is very specific, then using those data sets that contain item detail is going to be what gets you there. Okay, cool. And okay, looking at the filters. So if you are to add in a filter in place on the back end or on the configuration of the report, what this is going to do is lock it in place. So each subsequent time you have this report run, it is going to condense down the data and the output just to what you have filtered for. Again, same thing, just like any of the filters that you're seeing that are already existing here. So why don't we go ahead and add one in, and I'm going to go ahead, since we're looking at a sales report, filter this down for salesperson so that I can look at a particular member of my team and see kind of what they've been up to here, okay? And a little bit of finale trivia for you. If you're wondering if this salesperson field is existing by default, it's not. This is actually a custom field. So if you have custom fields made up within Finale, you can use them to be filters as well. So again, just being able to level up a little bit what you're able to accomplish when you're making customizations within Finale. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Anna, and we are going to look at strictly her sales over the last little while with this report. One other very cool thing that you can do is, let's say I wanted to add another filter here, and I'm concerned with looking at, let's say, sales over a particular dollar value. If I were to go ahead and try to add a filter in here for, let's say, like subtotal, for example, you're going to see that it's unavailable to be picked from this list. So when you run into a situation like this, you have the option of adding what is called a formula filter into your report. And so what this does is allows you to pick a variable or a data point to like build a formula around that will act as a way to filter down your report. So if I'm going to hit this little drop down list and try typing subtotal in again, you're going to see that there's actually now a number of different options that we can work with. So I take this order subtotal off the list. You're going to build a little formula around it, and I'm going to say I'm concerned with anything that is greater or equal to about $1,000. That's perfect. We're going to just leave it at that. If you make a little, mistake or anything like that on the formula, just know that you will see a little notification thing pop up there. So you'll be able to know if your filter is going to work or not going to work. Okay. And moving on to the last point here, which is going to be on the columns that are making up the report. So again, as was mentioned, you want to disable this grouping if you are going to be using your report and sending it back out and feeding into a third-party tool. So again, what this allows you to do is just maximize the amount of information that is going to be appearing on your spreadsheet and not like group similar pieces of information together as one. So right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and disable that grouping. We're going to save that change. And what you also can do in here is you're going to see this little column where it says label. What this controls is the name of the column header. And so if you are to make a change in here, let's say, for example, I don't want to use the term product ID on my report. I just want to call it SKU. You can go ahead and do that. And then when you run this report out, you're going to see that on the column headers themselves, it's going to say SKU instead. It's not going to say product ID. So this can be really handy if you are using a lot of different pieces of information and you just want to have a quick, way to identify them. You can do so that way. It's also going to be helpful here sometimes when you see something like this, where we've got the label being subtotal sum. You can even just go ahead and clean that up to say subtotal. And again, you'll see that update being made on the report that gets sent, exported out of Finale. Okie dokie. And then same thing here. What we're going to go ahead and do is pop over into the integrations. And we are going to go ahead and connect this report out to Google Drive, and it's going to be following that same flow. You're going to be going ahead and editing the integration to be able to open up this option here to go ahead and add a report task. Going to pop you out just a general task here, and then from there, you're going to go ahead and edit it to bring up all of these different options that are available to you. Same thing for this one. We're just going to go ahead and set it to run manually so that we can pop it up to Drive right away. We're going to go ahead and label the integration. So I'm just going to call it modified sales report, just again for quick identification. And then we are going to go ahead and select it here from our drop down list. That is going to be our custom sales report, June 2025. I'm going to select Google Sheets as the option here. And for this export, what we're going to go ahead and do is actually put it into a folder. So if I go ahead and pop into Drive, let's say I want this report to go up to my Sony's Finale reports folder. I'm going to open it up right here. And then looking at that URL bar, see again that we've got that like big string of different characters here. So this is the like folder ID situation that we want to grab. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, pop back over into Finale, and right into this box here where I'm specifying that path name, I'm going to go ahead and drop that string in here. Then, very important, going to add a slash, and then I'm going to go ahead and specify a name for my folder. So this is going to be, since we filtered it down for a salesperson, I'm just going to go as sales report, keeping it on that overwrite option. Going to hit save changes here. And then what we're going to do is fire this off to Google Sheets. Okay, let's go take a peek in Drive here. And it's there. Okay, so going back to the beginning, if I look at now just my general drive, you're going to see that that report is not present here. If we go ahead and click back in to that Sony's Finale reports folder, it's here and a sales report. We're going to go ahead and just open it up. And as you can see, for example, right here in column E, we change that label from product ID to SKU, and you have it visible here now on your report. And then same thing, if we go ahead and we feed this into Looker Studio as like a data source, you're going to see that now the variable name has also changed to match exactly what is coming out of this sheet. So we are going to do a quick reiteration here of everything that we have now learned so far. And again, if there's any questions that are, coming up on your side here, please feel free to drop them into that Zoom chat. Okay, so report customizations, a bit of an overview here. As a best practice, when you are making customizations to reports in Finale, it is best to start by first duplicating the report that is closest to what you want to see, and then going ahead and making your customizations from there while leaving the original report intact. Each report that is created in Finale Inventory is working on one data set. Data sets that contain the item detail will have additional information on things like line items, like the SKU, like the category, the pricing that have to do with the entry that's being made into Finale. When you are adding in filters on the back end of the report, what you are doing is locking them in place. So each subsequent run of the report, your data is going to be condensed down to whatever filter you've gotten entered in here. And you can also use the formula filter bar to do any kind of advanced filtering, writing formulas to again condense down the output of the report that's coming out of Finale. When it comes to the columns of your report, if you go ahead and change that label, what you're effectively doing is renaming that column header, and you'll see that change transpire when you take your report export out of Finale into Sheets and then into another tool. Whatever you've entered in as the label here is going to become your report column header. And then again, I'm sure you're all going to remember this very much so by now. If you are taking your report from Finale Inventory to Sheets and then you plan to use another third-party tool, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and disable that grouping, okay? So again, the possibilities really are endless. in terms of what you can create using a Google Sheet as a medium here. So going from Finale inventory to Sheets, it really just, again, opens up the possibilities to be able to connect to workflow automation tools, to business intelligence tools, whatever you desire. There's a lot that you can do. And if you're anything like me, you probably think this is like very fun and exciting. So very, excited for you to take what you've learned here today and to be able to create something really cool. And with that, we will go ahead and open up the floor for any questions. Disabling the grouping. Oh, okay, perfect. We see we've got an answer here. So, yeah, just to reiterate what John says, you absolutely have the ability to remove any kind of grouping when it comes to customizing the reports. That is not just like a finale staff type of setting or anything like that. Like you certainly can go ahead and do that. That's absolutely available to you. Perfect. And okay, cool. Exporting reports to a shared Google Drive. Yep, you are absolutely able to do that. And if you, take that file in Drive and like add anyone to it, like through those share settings, they'll be able to see and access the report there. So yeah, that's really no problem. If you'd like to share them along, you absolutely can do that. Same thing goes on the folder side. If you've got a number of different reports that are exporting out of Finale and like collecting into a Google Drive folder, whoever has access to that folder is going to be able to see all of that information. So you're good to go there. Okay, so is there a way to add a report, add a report generated by the integration to a menu as a menu item, or do you have to go through the integration screen each time? If I'm understanding that question correctly, yes, you will have to go through the integration each time to be able to access the ability to go ahead and add a report task. That is something that you will need to do. And another question here on adding specific formulas into the formula field, like Excel ones. So the formulas that you will be putting in that field, if you're thinking of something like, oh, can I add like a VLOOKUP as like a formula filter? It doesn't quite work that way, but we have a number of supported like functions that you are able to use. And so the formulas that you're going to be writing are in like a syntax format. And we have a reference in our help center that will show you the different types of expressions that are available to you to be able to use. What we also see some customers do is they'll like, if they know that they are going to have to add a particular formula to a report when they go ahead and ultimately open it in Sheets or in Excel, I've seen quite a few people basically write the formula into what is called a like utility or like a blank column, and that formula gets written in as the label, so as the column header. So it's like it just serves as maybe just like a quick workaround to not being able to necessarily put that formula into the report, but it's there. So when you open up the file, you're basically just like clicking, dragging, and dropping, and you're good to go from there. So that could be one option for you if you plan on like, or if you know that there's like a formula that you're going to be using repeatedly. I definitely suggest plugging it in that way just to save yourself a little bit of time when you actually go ahead and open up that file. Okay. Is Looker a Google product? Yes, it is actually. So if you are using the Google workspace, I believe Looker is about $9 a seat or something along those lines. But yes, you do have, it's in that Google suite of different apps that are available to you to use. But definitely take a look at it just to, don't quote me on that. I'm very certain it's about $9 a month. There very well may be a free version, so certainly something to take a look at there. Okay, cool. Does Finale have any options for pulling in larger data sets? What are the hard limits, if any? Okay, so in terms of being able to pull in larger um, data sets, maybe we'll go ahead and let John take this one. In terms of like being able to, The options that are built into the system are going to be the ones that you have there to work with. But as far as like a limitation goes, we don't necessarily have one. If you've got, your Finale inventory account has been running for like 2 years or like 10 years, there's not going to be like a cap or anything like that in terms of what you're going to be able to like extract out of that reporting engine. Like all that information that's been collecting in there is still valid, it's still able to be used. So it's not like you're going to get locked out or anything like that of trying to go ahead and use a report. Any limits to the number and frequency of the integration reports? Nope, you are not limited. You can have, if you need to send out 100 reports from Finale to Google Drive, you're absolutely going to be able to. And the frequency at which they run is ultimately up to you and it's per report. So again, there's not going to be, a limit imposed on you or like um, a restriction in terms of like, okay, you need to have all of them like run at this, at least half of them run at this time or half of them run at another time. You're not going to go ahead and run into anything like that at all. Can I add a calculated field with a custom formula from custom fields? So let's say ordered quantity over pallet quantity. Okay, interesting. I see what you're saying there. Um, as far as if you have a formula that's held in a custom field and you populate that onto your report, you are going to end up getting that formula like populated just the same way you would as any other like data point. So if you do it that way, I feel like as I'm saying this, it actually sounds like a pretty cool like bit of a trick here of something to do. You absolutely can do that. Just know that it's like if you're working with the custom fields in that way, of course, it's attached to every product. So long as that formula in that custom field was present on, I'd say, probably all of your products, then yeah, totally, you can certainly do that. That's actually sounds like a really nice type of trick there. And you have a master account and two other users that are your coworkers. Can this report be done for any other user, or is the main account necessary? So that will depend as long as your users on the account have the ability to make changes to any of the integrations that are on your Finale inventory account, they will be able to go ahead and set up a report export up to Google Drive. If their permissions have been limited and they cannot work with any of the integrations that are on the account, then no, it will not be possible for them to go up ahead and set up a report task. In that event, it would need to be whoever had the access or whoever had ownership of the account. I'm going to leave you with a couple of things here, which is a heads up that in Finale's Help Center, there are resources that you can use specifically around report customization, document customizations, and learning those basics. We have a really awesome video that's been created by Zach, one of our team members, and it's got a support article along with it too, so that you can learn how to work in Finale's report engine and do some of this, on your own, have some fun with it. We do have a reference also to formula filter examples that can be used. And along with that as well, again, any supported functions and expressions that you're able to add in that formula filter bar, that all exists in the Help Center so you can access that information and start to experiment that way as well. We do also have a video on how to go ahead and export data from Finale inventory to Google Drive, and another video as well on how to connect Finale to tools like Power BI, Tableau, and Looker Studio. So you will have a copy of this recording, but also know that there is documentation available in our Help Center for you to be able to use should you, take anything that you've learned today and want to put it into action on your own Finale inventory account. And then, of course, last but not least, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us again if there was something that you saw during today's presentation or something that's very particular to your account account that you would, need some help with, or you'd like a particular question answered, please feel free to reach out to us at service@finaleinventory.com, and we will be more than happy to help you, to meet with you, whatever you need in that regard. Again, thank you very much for joining us, for your support today. It's very much appreciated, and looking forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice day.